Hello, my friends. It's Laura. Welcome back. It's time for another What Sold This Week video. And as always, I'm going to start with my Whatnot show, which I just finished a little while ago. Um, so I always have feelings about my show. I get insecure about the items I'm selling, and I feel like it's not going to go well, or I don't have enough, or whatever. And many times I am wrong. This week, I did not have 30 brand new items as I like to have. I only had 20 brand new items this week, and then I backfilled a little with 10 from older shows. I had such a great show today. I sold a total of 35 items. They're going to 14 different buyers, 8 of whom are first-time shoppers with me. I made a total of $598 in sales. Very excited about that. And after fees, that should be $517.35. And on top of all of that, apparently I only spent 82 cents for shipping. I cover shipping for anything over whatever their 5-pound weight limit is, like $9.21 or something like that. I cover anything above that. I had one person who purchased 11 items, and apparently I only spent $82 in shipping over and above what the buyers had already paid. So all very exciting. 35 items. I feel like that might be a record. Maybe it's not a record for me. I've certainly had other shows that had higher number of items, but they were usually like much lower dollar starts. Like the kids show had a lot of sales, but they were like $3 starts and stuff. So, and also I think that somebody purchasing 11 items from me might be a record for me, but let's get into it. Let's take a look at what I sold. Now that I'm babbling as usual, you're used to it. We're going to start off with Whatnot, and then of course after that I will go to what I sold on all the other platforms, but Whatnot first. So first up is a buyer who is new to me. They purchased 2 items. So the first item that they purchased is going to be this dress. I love this dress. This is a Laura Ashley cotton like t-shirt style dress. It's really pretty. The fit is so nice. It's like a fit and flare kind of situation. And this sold, let me see, for $15, which is what I started the bidding at. So let's get this baby off the hanger and get her all folded up nice and purty. I had a lot of items that sold at their starting bids, which is fine. I always do. And I did have a couple of like bigger ticket items today, 2 of which were new to the show. I had one that had been in at least one other show, if not 2. I don't remember. Sorry, I'm trying to straighten this dress out. It does not want to lay flat. So let's see. Let's get this all done. It was a fun show. I was having a little bit of anxiety during the majority of it because we have, I rent an apartment in New Jersey, and in the backyard there is a shed, and that's where my boyfriend stores the majority of his, he sells on eBay. He sells, he stores a lot of his inventory in there, and also just things that he's collected over his lifetime. So there is an old tree in the backyard, and the tree fell. It like split in half, and half fell onto the shed. Now, thankfully, the shed is intact. Everything looks good. And the guy that usually comes out to repair things said that he won't be able to come out till next week. But my boyfriend is understandably stressed out about the situation, which is therefore stressing me out because I am not confrontational at all. And he wants him to come out and fix it like, now and get the tree. And I'm just kind of like, it's fine. Everything will be fine. I'm very like anxious about everything. So I was very preoccupied during my whole show, and I'm preoccupied now. And I didn't even tell you about this second item that sold. This is an 80s little linen blend blazer. This is a Perry Ellis, whatever, same thing, right? This is not a normal thing that I would pick up, but when I got it, I thought my mom might like it. She likes this color, and it's a linen blend, but it has like a tiniest puff sleeve, which I did suspect she might not be into, and I was correct. But I knew that I'd sell it if she didn't like it. Tiniest puff sleeve ever. So that sold for $15 as well. So I've got those 2 items. And let's see, where is the bag? We're going to put it in a slightly bigger bag. The one I would like to put it in is probably going to be too tight. So let's get it in here. And hopefully I'm good. I think I'll be able to get all this shipped today. I don't have anything else going out today besides my Whatnot stuff, which is disappointing, but my Whatnot show certainly held up its end of the bargain, so I don't have to worry about that at all. Definitely did the heavy lifting for my sales this week, which was I'm very grateful for. There we go. Number one. I gotta put it in my little bag that I got going here. I remembered to give myself a bag to throw everything into. All right. Second shipment. Good God, Laura. Second sale. Okay. So this is just a little pink slip. I love this color. It's so pretty. This is hand dyed. There's been a couple of shows. It was one of those that had been in a bunch of shows. I took it out for a bunch, put it back in for a few. And even today, someone requested to see it. I ran it. They said it wasn't going to work for them. Then at some point I ran it a second time just because I got that far in the, it was like next in line. So I ran it. And then someone asked me to rerun it, which I did. And then 2 people bid on it. So always a surprise to me, which is fine. And happy surprise. So this sold for $17. I started it at $15, but it sold for $17, which I am very happy about. So I don't remember if I dyed this slip or not. I think this was sent to me by someone. So I don't think I was the one who dyed this, but very excited. There we go. That's that. Next up, new to me buyer purchased 1 item. This is another piece, been at a bunch of shows, in and out, yada, yada. And it's this 2-piece, sort of like prom dressy kind of situation. We've got this strapless piece and then this bolero jacket with these insane beading details and these crazy large puff sleeves, which I love. So let me see. Let's get this dress folded up first. This was really fun. This sold for $25. I can't remember how much I paid for that. I feel like I paid a little bit more for this, which is part of the reason I started it higher. Once I've entered something into my Whatnot shows, even if like I enter it maybe even a few months ago, and then I, take it out for a while and then end up putting it back into a show again, whatever the original settings were as far as price and all that, I pretty much just leave alone. I know that I price it the way that I do for a reason. So, and plus I think like, an evening style cocktail dress for $25. Sure. Thank you. Really cool. All right. I'm going to want to put this one in a box when I ship it, because I don't want this beading getting squashed. Not that the beading is going to get squashed. I get worried when there's any kind of beading or sequins that if the package is like smushed between things, that the friction will like make something tear. It's a little bit paranoid, but not unreasonably so. So this is very nice. I think this is so cute, and I'm very happy that it's going to a new home. Let's see. Can I get it into this bag? I feel like it'll fit. No. Again, it will fit, but it's going to be like a little not pretty, So, all right, let's get this wrapped up. Anyway, so yeah, I was feeling anxious and stressy about the shed situation. It is what it is. I get, we all have things that come up and we get anxious about it, and I'm sure ultimately everything will be fine. Just getting all the air out of this bag. There we go. Boop. Okay, next up is a new to me buyer who purchased 3 items. So first, is this little Liz Claiborne t-shirt. It's very adorable, little 100% cotton, 90s tee. And this sold for $10, which is what I started the bidding at. Little Liz Sport situation there. Very cute. Like it. So let's see. One of the things that I had in my show for today, one of the new items, was a very cute dress that a friend of mine, I actually posted on Instagram this week to like advertise my show. And so one of my friends saw some of the stuff and she loved the dress. And so she wanted it. I offered to give it to her and she would not let me. She paid me for it, but that means I had to pull it out of the show. Hold that thought. Next is this, what are you doing, friend? There we go. Next is this cute little 90s dress. So this is a plus size dress and I just sourced it. So it was in my most recent haul video. I think I said it was marked size 80. The size is marked B0, which is like Roman's had some kind of unusual vanity sizing. Because I had another piece recently where the size was marked like A6 or something. Anyway, this is really cute. It is definitely, I think, just a straight up plus size piece. I don't think it's meant to be a moo kind of thing. I thought maybe it was like a caftan type of situation, but it's just, I think, just a larger size dress. But I did tie it on myself in a way that I thought looked really cute. So I do think that even though it's a straight up plus size, it looks good. Like if you tie the weight, whatever, it looked cute. I don't think that the buyer, I don't know. This is a new to me buyer. And just based on the sizing of the items that they purchased, she's got this 4X size dress and then a size medium t-shirt and another thing that I think is like a large or an extra large. So I assume that it was probably going to be more caftan-y on her, but I don't know for sure. Maybe she didn't even buy it for herself. I don't know. But that sold for $15. And then the other item that I sold, I told you my brain's not doing well today, was this. I got this from a friend recently and she sent a whole little box of goodies, which was nice. And it's got this cute print, a little more recent. And this sold, I think this sold for $5 or $10, honestly. Hold on. I did this at $5. It's newer and it's got like a little hole somewhere. There we go. Beep, beep. So I did it at a low start, but it's cute. And it's going to its new home, so I'm happy about that. And it's also a new to me buyer, so she got some nice deals, which hopefully she's excited about. Let me get this folded nice and neat. So my friend purchased the dress for me. It was one of the new pieces in the show, so then I felt like I had to replace it. So I went through and I was looking through some of my older inventory on my regular sites, Depop, Etsy, stuff like that. And so I decided to pull a blouse from Depop, which sold, by the way, and list that in the show. But as I was looking through everything, I was just realizing like how much stuff I have listed on my traditional platforms that like, I don't really, this is why I keep picking the wrong size bag today, that I don't really want on my sites. Like there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't pick up again if I were finding those items today. There's a lot of stuff that is still sitting around that I would absolutely pick up 100 times over again. And, but there's stuff that I would like to sort of purge. And I know I keep talking about doing like an inventory reconciliation. I've been talking about that since at least January, and here we are in June. It's just such a big undertaking. I don't want to do it because everything else has to stop while I do that, and it's just a lot. Hold that thought. All right, next is a repeat buyer for me who purchased this adorable, like disco era 70s dress that I love. This sold for $15, right? Yes, 15. Anyway, so I was looking through all of that stuff and really feeling like I should definitely kind of make that a priority soon. And partially like right now I have, how many inventory totes do I have? I have like 36, 12, no, maybe 24. No, I don't know. 36, I think. I have that 36 number in my head. Anyway, I think I have 36, maybe 30, something. A lot of totes, okay? And a lot of them they're not full. I have a whole little stack of numbers, so each tote carries about 30 items in it, plus then I have like some smaller assorted boxes and stuff of smaller items. Each tote holds about 30 items, and I make these little cards so that I know when there's like space in that tote, because the totes are not see-through. And I feel like if I start purging a lot of the stuff that I really am not into anymore, stuff that I wouldn't pick up again, I feel like I might be able to not get rid of some totes, but I feel like I might be able to do a lot of consolidation and possibly not need all of the totes that I currently have. I don't know, like that. I don't know, like to get rid of enough totes to give myself more space in my physical room, I'd need to get rid of like 7. And I don't know that's 210 items. I don't know that I want to get rid of that many items. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, you know, I feel like it would be nice to kind of like clear some of the stale stuff out that I don't like, you know. Next up, new to me buyer, purchased 2 items. They're both really freaking cute. One is this little denim Western style vest. So this does button up fully. You can wear it like a shirt. So cute. This brand, Hairston Ropa. There's actually some really expensive and gorgeous pieces. This particular item is a resale thing for like eBay or whatever. I think when I researched it, the lowest I saw it available for was like $29. And there were a couple of versions of this, not versions, but like a couple people had this same item. But this brand has some like very elaborate, beaded, gorgeous pieces. Like somebody had pieces listed for like $1,000 or something. I mean, it was very interesting to see. I had not heard of it before, which again doesn't mean anything, but that was cool. So that sold for, I believe, $15. It's very cute. It's got like a nice little fitted silhouette to it. It's adorable. $15. And then the other item that she purchased is this very cute little gingham top. It's kind of like a pinafore style top. And this also sold, oh, this sold for $17. I started it at 15, but it sold for 17. So very cute. All of a sudden I am super hungry, which makes sense because it's 2 o'clock and I had breakfast at like 9. So, but you started filming a video, Laura. So now you just gotta finish wrapping your stuff and filming your video. And then you can eat after that. All right, let me see. Get this little top all folded up. This is the fun part of the video, isn't it? I'm not telling you asinine stories and I'm not showing you inventory. I was trying to fold that so the little watermelon was front and center, but that didn't really work out. Let's see if I can get this in a small bag. Fingers crossed. So it's been blisteringly hot the past few days. Today finally cooled down a little bit. It's about 75 degrees. I was very grateful that I was able to run my show just using regular natural light because I'm also using that right now. It's, you know, pretty good. It's sort of cloudy out, but this is like a really nice light. I was not sure that I was going to survive if I had to turn my freaking photo lights on. All right, let's see. So I think that one, yeah, that one's done. Next up is a new to me buyer who purchased one item. It is so cute. I love it. This is a little like 50s era cotton skirt. I got this at a church thrift store. This sold for $20. A little higher start than I normally go for, but I paid $10 for the skirt. So, you know, and on top of having paid $10 for it and then selling it for $20, I also had to move the button. I didn't say anything about it in the show. The button was like just cinching the waist really small and so that the zipper didn't really line up. So number one, it would have been like so freaking small. And number two, the zipper wasn't lining up. So I knew that I would fix it before I sent it out. But then I also resent myself when something sells and I have to fix it before I can ship it. But I did. I moved a little button over. It was fine. So, and this sold for $20, which I already told you. So let's get my little friend in a bag. So freaking cute. Okay, I got to fix this bag down here. It's falling over. There we go. All right. Next up. This is the big one. I feel like I should save this for last, but I'm not going. All right, I'm not going to. I'm going to have to do it one way or the other. All right, next up, the buyer who purchased 11 items for me. Super excited about. Not only are there 11 items, but one of them is a little bit bulky. So that's why I was like, maybe I should. No, just do it, Laura. All right, item number one, this dress, which I love. I think this is so freaking cute. This is a 50s little cocktail style dress. This is so adorable. You can see it got a little metal zipper back there. And there's this little floret here. And it's repeated down at the hem, which is so cute. I love this dress. It's adorable. It's tiny. This sold for $15, which is what I started it at. And I know that kind of sounds insane, but you know, I don't remember what I paid for it. It wasn't sourced too long ago. But I know that when I when I listed it for 15, that I was okay with that. So it's probably under $5 that I paid for this dress. And it is fun to be able to have like awesome pieces like this, because that's still like $15 for this 50s dress is kind of like thrift pricing. Like it's very close to thrift pricing, you know? So it's so cute. So we've got that. Let's see. Next up is this little slip, which is another hand-dyed piece. This has a couple little flaws in it. Pointed them out on camera. This sold for $10. It's really cute, but it's got like the strap was fixed funny. So, and also before it was dyed apparently, so the thread didn't take up the color, which happens sometimes. Like different things take the color up differently. So, which is part of what makes it fun to dye, but you know, also presents some challenges. Next up is a pair of Y2K lace pants. These are so freaking cool. I love these. These are very tiny, I think. They're marked size 2. The waist is a low-rise waist, and it's 27 inches. So it was like, I couldn't, like I put them on to photograph them, but they didn't come up over my hips. So I basically photographed from like just my legs, just to give an idea of the pant. They're going to look so cute with the low rise. I love the way the low rise stuff looks. I don't like wearing it necessarily because it's very difficult to, you know, like they, whatever, but it looks really cute. Those sold for $15. So that was cool. Next up is this absolutely ludicrous. I love this. This is a Barbie pink, like peplum style, sort of a westerny kind of blazer. I don't know, blazer is even kind of like a, I don't know, questionable term for this, but it's so cute. This sold for $15. So let's see, put that back. I got to button a few of these buttons to make it look decent. Button to make it fold up all nice. Here we go. Sorry, I am totally lost in my own thought and almost like semi forgot that I was filming. Losing my mind. Okay. Let's see. Next up, same buyer still. Purchased this Y2K era dress. This is really cute, like a faux patchwork. And I'm assuming this was 15. Yeah, this sold for 15. So very cute. Been in a couple of shows, not crazy number. I'm kind of wondering if this person is a reseller. Things are like, you know, some different sizes. But again, sometimes people might just be shopping for other family members or, and also, you know, if they're a reseller, that's fine. I don't need to know any of this information. I just curious, you know. All right, let's see. Next up. Oh, this belt. Oh, it's such a good belt. Also a semi-recent pickup. In fact, I think it's only got it last week. I think this was only the second show it's been in. Very crazy statement kind of belt, and it was a larger size. So I think that was a big plus. I'm going to need to like wrap this a little bit in some bubble wrap, I think, to keep the buckle has these like prongs on the inside. I don't want it to get messed up. So Stick that there. Oh, and that sold for $33. I think I started it at 20. It's possible I started it at 25, but I think I started it at 20. And that sold for 33. So that was cool. Next up is a 70s, same buyer still, 70s nightgown. This is so pretty. Just got this great little keyhole opening in the chest, right? And let's see, this sold for $15. So what is that? Okay. A piece of lint stuck to the nightgown. I was like, why? All right, let's see. Sorry, again, la la land in my brain. So sorry. All right, let's see. Next up is this very cute Y2K era dress. Same buyer still, the 11 item buyer. This is a stretchy mesh dress. So cute. I just love this print. The tag on this, there. I think it's Monaco, but it's not like Club Monaco. It's some other Monaco. And this sold for, I think, 15. Let's see. Yep, $15. Really cute dress. Let's get it folded, and let's not forget that I'm filming a video while I do it, right? I'm telling you, there's like some chaos. I'm getting text message notifications, you know, and I'm filming the video from my phone. So they're like popping up on the phone as I'm filming. And then I've a little stress in my brain all over the place today. All right, probably not standing up straight at all. I know I'm not. I'm like this. I stand up straight. You would think that seeing yourself in video all the time would make you much more cognizant of your posture. Not as much as I need to be. Next up, this same buyer. I love this piece. Purchased this dress, this 50s or 60s era cocktail dress. It's so freaking pretty. It's got like this sheer lace here, but the dress does have a liner in it, right? And then, of course, we've got our little metal zipper friend down the back. Such a pretty dress. I was able to model this enough to get an idea of what it looks like on. I couldn't zip it up, but then I just didn't show the back in the photos. So that's okay. It's so pretty. This sold for, I think I had it listed for 20. I listed it for 20 and that's what it sold for. So that was cool. So let me get it folded up nice. Such a pretty dress. I wish you guys could see like what it looked like modeled. It was so nice. It just came up like here, just like this wide V-neck and then very tapered in at the waist. And so pretty. All right, let's see. Get you folded. We're definitely using some larger bags for this buyer. Okay. Next up, same buyer still. This piece, which is really cool. This little like psychedelic-y, it looks like a blouse, but it's kind of like, it's an open front jackety blazer kind of thing. Look at this print. I love this. There's no tags in this at all, so it seems kind of handmade, but it's really nicely done. And this sold for 15, which is what I started the bidding at. So let's get it folded up nice and neat. Let's see there, okay. Making sure that I'm not hidden from view again, as I sometimes am when I'm folding things and I'm just not aware. All right, let's see. So apparently I have once again fallen a little behind in my being ready ahead of the game for whatnot. So I got to figure that out. The good news is that I'm getting a lot of my older inventory sort of cleared out because I keep including it each week, sometimes as newer pieces, sometimes just adding it back in again as like a old piece. And they are selling. So that's nice because, you know, a lot of times when you have stuff in shows 2, 3, 4 times, it starts feeling super stale, even when it's not. I mean, whatever. like 4 times is not necessarily stale, but I think it's stale for a 100-item show that you have the same people coming to week after week. But I do always have new buyers. I get, in my head, All right, the final item in this buyer's set was one of the star of the show pieces, and it was this dress. So I showed you this dress in my haul video that most recently. But what I didn't realize when I was doing the haul video is that this dress is a Pagan, which is a designer that a lot of people love. The only tag in this was like the washing instructions tag, but Pagan has like signatures in the print. So there it is. So that was really cool. And so I originally kind of course, considered maybe I should hold this off for Etsy. I did look up Pagan on the Gem app to see like what other comparable pieces are, and they kind of were going all over the place. I saw another dress with this same print, but it was like a strappy tank maxi dress, and that was going for multiple hundreds of dollars. I don't remember how many. But then I also saw dresses that had a very similar silhouette to this that were going more in like the $80 to $100 range. So I was kind of on the fence. I ultimately decided to put it in the Whatnot show, and I started it at $25. And then I also made sure to advertise on Instagram. And, I don't get a ton of traction from Instagram stuff, but I've been posting a couple of things on Instagram when I have new listings up on Etsy recently, and those have been getting some nice interactions. So I feel like that probably helped me a little bit. I started the bidding at $25, and it ended up selling for $50. So that was pretty nice, especially for a Whatnot show. I didn't have tons of people. I was very surprised that no one requested it straight off. A lot of times if I have a piece like that, people are immediately like, run that one, like first thing coming into the room, and they didn't. It didn't have pre-bids that when I started the show, at least. I did have multiple items that had pre-bids, just not that one. I was kind of surprised. Oh, I think I might get all these in. Maybe not. No, I don't want to force it. I was thinking I could get all these into this bag, but that one last dress is a little bit large. So I don't want to squash it. And then I'm going to have to try and put this in a nice box. I'm going to have to order more boxes. I have these eBay boxes that are a nice size for a lot of my bigger Whatnot purchases. Yeah. Other people's purchases. Yeah. And I'm almost out of them. So, but July 1st is another eBay order time. All right. So there's these 2 bags I'm going to put over here so I don't forget that they go together, because I also have to bubble wrap her belt to keep everybody safe and not torn or stabbed or any of that stuff. But that was fun. And that was a new to me buyer, so hopefully she loves her purchases. Next up is a repeat buyer for me, purchased 2 items. The first is this pair of pants. These are just really fun, like 80s. This was so cool. And one of the things I really love about these pants, they have no tags either. They have back pockets, but like it's like a yoke at the back, and then the pocket is butt up right against the yoke. So they're very, like, not quite invisible, but almost. It's very cool. So those sold for probably $15. That's what I thought. So that's the first item that they purchased. And it was funny, I probably said it in my haul video for these, but like I saw these pants and it was like a no-brainer, like, yes, please. But also they are tiny. And I was like, they're so small. But, I'm glad I got them. And then the second item that they purchased was this little nightgown. This is very pretty. This sold for $15 also. Yeah, $15 as well. So, and these do have a tag. Where are you? I think. Maybe. Pretty sure. Yes, there it is. There's the tag, Aviva Eiffel. And then here is this very pretty little, look how nice that is. It's so cute. Very fairy-like, beautiful. All right, I'm going to button up the bodice on this a little bit so it looks cuter when it's going out. It's all buttoned up. Let's see. And then I guess I can also chit chat about, I had a couple of return-ish situations this week. Hold on, let me get this folder. So the first is I had a buyer on Whatnot reach out to me because she purchased a hand-dyed slip, and she reached out and the slip, I will admit, like, it was a slip that I started the bidding at like $15, and it ended up getting bid up to $35, which I was really surprised at the time. I mean, great. I'm excited about that. And had I listed that slip on Etsy, I probably would have listed it for $39 or $49, including the shipping. So it's not like it was out of line for the item. I just was surprised at it for Whatnot, right? But I was like, cool, great. So, but when she got the slip, she reached out and she said it had stains. And I was like, I don't feel like it had stains. Like, it was surprising to me. So I handle my customer service issues on Whatnot. Whatnot used to be that they would handle the customer service aspect for you. And then they started doing some beta testing where sellers could handle their own customer service. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why they offer that and why some sellers may choose to do it. I went ahead and chose to do it. I had one or two buyers in the past that had some issues where I kind of wanted to be able to handle it for them. Whatnot, I feel like if you're a buyer and you make a lot of complaints, Whatnot kind of holds that against you. And I feel like that's pretty unfair. I mean, I'm sure that there are buyers who absolutely take advantage of the system, the way that it was set up, because it's easy to take advantage of their system. But I also feel like there's a lot of sellers that take advantage of the system. There's like a lot of sellers that just don't disclose things and they don't package things well. Like, there's a lot of problems. And so I feel like Whatnot started wanting to offer, that was an awkward sentence, sellers the opportunity to handle their own customer service issues, because some sellers do, right? They don't want to get like the ding on their own account or whatever. Like, they just gave sellers the opportunity. I decided that I was going to take that opportunity because I wanted to be able to handle issues with buyers and not have them feel like they were going to get a ding for complaining too much, right? Because there are people who complain about their purchases a lot, but they have very valid complaints. And in my opinion, Whatnot is like a very fast-paced, hot and heavy kind of situation. Sellers can miss a lot of issues. Buyers can make impulse decisions and or miss issues. It's just a situation where it's easy for that kind of stuff to happen. I had one buyer who had a couple of different issues over the course of several shows. And some of those things were definitely things I just totally missed. Others were things that like I had missed, but I could see why I missed them because again, I'm pounding through stuff. Like, I'm not fine tooth combing this stuff when I'm throwing it up on Whatnot for a $15 start, and I paid $3 or $5 for it. You know what I mean? Like, but I also don't want people to have to like suffer the consequences of, their purchases that way. So one particular buyer I had a couple of issues with, and she was probably sort of the reason I wanted to like sign up to handle my own customer service stuff so that I could make sure people got taken care of if stuff like that was happening. So anyway, this buyer with this half slip that sold for $35, she opened a case, whatever. She like opened an item issue. And then I responded to it, and it was weird. Like, it didn't come through with a photo initially. She said there were stains. I didn't see a photo attached to it. So I reached out and I said, would you be able to send me some photos? And so she sent me two. I really couldn't see from the photos what it was that she was taking issue with, but also the photos looked like they were kind of dark. And ultimately I just said, look, I'm not really sure what it is that you're seeing. And I didn't remember there being, I felt like I looked at the thing enough. I didn't feel like there were any issues with it. And then she said, maybe it's hand dyed and like it's like an unevenness in the dye. I was like, it's definitely hand dyed. So I guess that could be it. I feel like if that was the case, it was subtle, but some people are just much more particular about that kind of stuff than others. So ultimately I said, I'm happy to take a return on it. So I think that that's what she's going to do. If she returns the slip to me, obviously she gets refunded her entire original purchase price, which is the cost of the slip plus whatever the shipping was that she paid. And then also the shipping label to send it back to me, I also pay the cost of. So, so if she decides that she's sending it back, I feel like she is, then I'll ultimately just end up putting it on Etsy or something. So, so that was my first issue. And then before I move on to my second issue, let's talk about the next item that I sold. It is, hold on, I believe this is it. Yes. New to me buyer who purchased this 2-piece set. Where did you go? Why is it not here? I think that I did not. Oh, please. Now I got to go grab it. And you have to have nobody on camera because I am being silly. I don't know why I didn't have this. Anyway, here it is. I mistakenly put it back. 2 items, 2-piece set. So there's this nightgown, very pretty. And it's got a matching robe. And this sold for $15, which is what I started the bidding at. So there's that. So while I fold this, I'll tell you the second thing that happened. So the second sort of return thing that happened to me this week. In April, I sold an item on eBay. It was going to China. Now, I do not participate in eBay's global shipping, whatever that service is, for 2 reasons. Number one, I was doing it myself because it's generally less expensive for the buyers, or at least buyers seem to prefer it. It doesn't charge all the customs fees up front. From what I have heard, when eBay charges all those customs fees up front, they're charging more than what the buyer would actually be paying in customs fees if they were just going directly with the seller. So I do all my own shipping. I did offer the eBay global shipping, whatever, as an option, but nobody ever used it. So let's see. So somebody had purchased an item. I was shipping direct. It was going to China. One of the things that makes me nuts, and this isn't just eBay, this happens on Etsy as well, is that when somebody from China, or I guess any, country that's got like different lettering, when they order, the address comes through in freaking Chinese, and now I have to translate that. And not only do I have to translate it, like I have to figure out what the actual words are, but their address formatting is so different that I then also have to Google the address format, because they have like provinces and districts and stuff, and it's not like city state. And I think that they have more of those, like we have city state, but they have like a province and a district and then something else. Like it's weird, and it's hard to like figure out what goes where. So you have to do all this work to translate the address in the first place. I don't understand why they don't have that translation automatic, or why the buyers aren't just putting it in English. I feel whatever. I obviously would not know how to write my address in Chinese, but also if I was ordering something that required me to do that, I just wouldn't be ordering it, Anyway, so they bought this thing back in April, shipping to China. I shipped it. Okay. Hold, please. I'm going to show you the next item that I sold. Just making sure that I am in the right place. Yes. So the next item that I sold is to a repeat buyer who got these pants, which I also freaking love. They're also tiny, but look at this purple stripe and cute little flare pant. Like, how adorable are these? I love these. I couldn't model those either because they're very tiny, but got those. They sold for $15. So that was fun. Okay. So, Chinese person ordered this dress. I shipped it in April. June 1st, I get a message from the buyer. They open a case on eBay, said that they have not received the item. I look up my shipping. I used Pirate Ship. And Pirate Ship, if you're not familiar, ships in sort of 2 phases. So first, the package gets shipped to a hub here in the United States. For me, it's usually in Jamaica, Queens. And that gets 1 tracking number. And then the trip for like the second leg of the trip, the overseas part, that gets a 2nd tracking number. So I always have to kind of double check, because sometimes it'll get to the first place and it'll like sort of show delivered, even though it's not. Anyway, so I did the tracking, and then a lot of countries now, you can take the tracking number and like go to their postal service and look it up, right? So I did that, and that was showing as delivered, but it was showing as like, I couldn't tell if it was delivered to customs or delivered to the person's door, right? And I don't know that there was a way to tell. There was nothing I could do to further research where that was. So I just responded to the buyer. I said, I'm showing that was delivered. Here's a link to the China Post system so that you can see. I can't remember if I said anything about like, I don't know if it's a customs or not, but I was like, showing is delivered. Here's the link if that helps. And then they never responded. So I was like, okay, I figured Either it was a done deal or they were just, who knows, right? Next item that sold. Sorry. These are to a repeat buyer. These are Olga. They're like little slip shorts. They're very cute. I think I call them tap pants. They're kind of like petty pants. They're more like shorts. On the hanger, they look like a slip that's like culotte, but once you put them on, they look like shorts and they're adorable. I love them. These sold for $15. It's very exciting. So anyway, buyer, China. I said it was delivered. They never responded again. That was June 1st. Then all of a sudden on the 24th, I get a message from eBay saying, hey, your buyer escalated this case. We'll let you know when we've decided. 2 seconds later, oh, hey, we decided in the buyer's favor and we're taking the funds away. Bye. You didn't show any proof of shipping, of tracking, being delivered, whatever. And I was like, what? And this is not uncommon. I've had 2 times where cases were escalated, one on Etsy, one on eBay now. And, you know, it's not like I just ignored the buyer. Like I had interactions with the buyer and then the buyer escalates. In the case of Etsy, I knew that they were going to escalate, but I knew that Etsy offered buyer protection and seller protection, and I thought I would be covered. And also I assumed that when the buyer escalated, that Etsy would reach out to me and say, hey, what's the deal? They did not. They immediately made a decision, decided in the buyer's favor. That was the case where something had not been delivered, also international. And that one, though, you could tell it was like still hanging out somewhere or whatever. Like it was taking a long time. I don't know why. That ultimately came back to me eventually, but like months later, which I suspected, right? Which is part of the reason why I was trying to wait it out. I can't remember when the buyer contacted me, how far into the process it was, but I feel like I've had situations like that where it took like 3 to 6 months before the item would come back to me. And that sucks for the buyer. I get it. It also sucks for me. And sometimes things are just like, you know, I don't know. Anyway, but in both of these situations, Etsy and eBay, they both just refunded the buyer without reaching out to me at all. But with eBay, they're like, oh, you didn't show proof of delivery. I'm like, what do you want me to show besides that the tracking said it was delivered? What am I supposed to do? So I appealed it through eBay and they actually granted me my appeal and I got my money back. So that was very exciting and surprising. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'm very grateful that it did. So next package, 2 items, repeat buyer. First up is this cute little skirt. It's like a chrysanthemum print. The colors are so pretty. I feel like it's handmade. There's no tags. It's a little bit larger, which was nice, like an extra large, I think, the size. And this sold for $15. Yes, $15. None of us are. I feel like at this point, I should just stop telling you if it sold for $15. We can all just assume that unless I say otherwise. But I always double check. As you've seen, I sometimes get surprised myself. It's like, oh, hey, that got bid up. So that was the first item. And then the second item that this buyer purchased was this robe, very cute, ethereal little sheer. Got some fun eyelet lace. And then this is just sheer. It's very nice. And this also sold for $15. So let's see what we can do to get this folded up like a pretty little pretty princess. All right, let's see. Talked too much about shipping. Talked too much about my shed, backyard. What else did I talk too much about? My inventory. I can talk too much about sourcing. One of the tricks about being able to kind of be ahead of the game with setting up my Whatnot shows is, of course, having enough new inventory on hand to be able to do that. So I feel like I'm constantly on this little hamster wheel of going out, trying to find stuff, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I'm ahead, but then I feel like that lasts a week or 2 and then I'm behind again. And the majority of my sourcing, as you know, I'm relying on one. Oh, this is very crooked fold. Sorry if you watch my YouTube. I am sorry that the crooked fold, but I think you're fine with it. So I generally rely on one thrift store pretty heavily for the majority of my sourcing needs. And I try to go to estate sales and stuff, but honestly, I look up a lot of the estate sales and they just don't seem to have what I'm looking for. I mean, when there's a really good one, I do make an effort to go to it, but I just don't see them often enough, you know? Final package gives me a lot of time to talk. It's a repeat buyer for me who purchased 5 items. Wow, I'm surprised that they're a repeat buyer because I liked their username and it didn't look familiar to me. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't like to call people out and what they spend and whatever. But, okay. Maybe they changed their name, or maybe I just don't remember things. Which one do we all think that was? Okay. So this repeat buyer purchased 6 items from me. So the first one I'm going to show you is this cute little top. This is the thing that I pulled from Depop. It's just a little cotton top that's really adorable. I've had it up there for ages. This is a thing that I totally should cross list to Etsy and all that stuff, but I hadn't. So I pulled it to replace the dress that I sold to my friend. And that sold for, I'm gonna guess 15. Yep. Yup. Okay, so anyway, sourcing. No, not sourcing yet because we've still got to move on. Second item that they purchased was this very cute little 70s shirt. I love this. Right, here's the tag, so cute. Maybe here's the tag. There we go. Adorable. This sold also, I'm assuming, for 15. 21. This got bid up to 21. That's pretty cool. I did start it at 15. See? This is why I have to check the prices because I don't know. Yeah, so I rely on one thrift pretty heavily. Try to go to estate sales. Doesn't always work out. So I don't know. I feel like I got to try and get on it to increase some of my inventory. Let's see. All right, next item that this buyer purchased was this very cute little acrylic top that from my most recent haul where we already discussed. I know it looks like a dog sweater. It's not. It has so much stretch. It did look really cute on when I modeled it. Phew. So stretchy. Just going to fold that in half. There's not really any point in trying to make that anyway other than just in half. Okay. That sold for 15. Adorbs. Next up from this buyer, I mean, I guess I don't need to look at stuff here, is sold the Land's End dress, a little cotton teacher style dress. And this sold for 15, which, surprise, surprise, that's exactly what I thought, but double checking. Oh, the sun came out. There we go. Land's End. Sold for 15. So that's really cute. So I don't know. There's a Salvation Army that's sort of near my house that I go to every now and then because sometimes it's got some good stuff, but not consistently. And it's not super annoying to get to, but like it's probably about 20 minutes for me to get there, which is how long it takes for me to get to my regular thrift. But my regular thrift is more reliable in the inventory that they have available. The Salvation Army, this particular one, is like, meh. There is a Salvation Army in Manhattan that I've done really well at, but mostly it was a 50% off day. And I think that their regular pricing is kind of high. A lot of the Salvation Armies around here, their prices have gotten pretty high. Not as bad as Goodwill. I basically don't bother with Goodwill. Like I'll stop into a Goodwill here and there if I happen to be like, but like I don't get excited about it. A lot of times when I go into a Goodwill, it's kind of like, all right, let's see. The next thing that this buyer purchased was this cute little nightgown. I love this. I think it's so pretty. Right? Look at all that. I was so excited to find all these like nightgown and robe type of pieces yesterday. Let's see. This sold for, I'm going to guess 15. 15, yes. So very cute. So these nightgowns and those like that like 70s lace front shirt, the acrylic shirt and stuff that I just showed you, those were all from my thrift trip yesterday. And it makes me want to go back and see if there's like more of these things there, but I'm definitely not going to go back today because it's just, that's too much in a day. That thrift store does have a decent sale on Fridays, but it's a sale. It's like, they call it their happy hour sale. So the sale starts at 4. So, I mean, I can get there earlier, but I like to get to the thrift when it opens. Which, like, I've never been one of those people, but this one I do. And partially because the day that I go, like, I get there, I get my cart, and I do my thing. And by the time I cash out, all the carts are gone. And they don't all disappear immediately. Like, when I come in, like, basically almost nobody is taking a cart. But by the time I'm cashing out, all the carts are gone. So I like to make sure that I get there and get my thing and whatever. And I like to pull a lot of stuff from the racks when they're rolling out new inventory. This is not, like, everybody does that, right? I'm sure. But all right, the final item of this sale and of this buyer's purchase is this dress, which I love. This I got at an estate sale that I went to thinking it was full of stuff like this, and it kind of was, but the majority of the stuff that they had like this was kids stuff, which was very disappointing, but I did get great stuff there, including this dress. I kind of thought this dress was a kid's dress at first, but then I was like, oh no, this is going to fit me. Like I can get this on. And I could get it on, but I couldn't breathe really. So I wanted to keep it. But once I actually zipped it up, I'm like, oh yeah, this is not going to be a good idea. So yeah, so I decided to put it in the show today. I listed it for $25 and that's what it sold for. So pretty decent. You know, I would love to have sold this for way more, but also, I mean, I think 25 is great for a Whatnot show. It's great for what I paid. I don't remember like what the per item cost from this estate sale was, but I got some other pieces that sold for a ton already on eBay and stuff. So like that estate sale's been covered. So, you know, that's all nice. But this dress was so pretty. I really wish that it fit me a little bit more comfortably, but I have so many things. Do you know what I mean? Like I keep so many items. Today was actually another day where everybody was asking if my dress was something that I was selling. I obviously am not. This is amazing. And I've had this dress for years. I got this at an older Salvation Army that has since is no more. It burned down at one point, but I got this for like $4 or $5 and I love it. And the poor thing has had issues a couple times. Like I think when I originally got it, I had to stain treat it. And then at some point I spilled this like acai bowl all over it. So then I had to stain treat it again. And then, you know, it just gets like pit stainy. I think it's just, I don't know if it's like more susceptible because it's had pit stains in the past. And so then it's just like, you get them out, but then it's like, I don't know. But I had to soak it for that. It currently has like a couple pink dots somewhere because the last time I soaked it, somehow it got pink dots from something. I don't know. So I've been holding it aside, waiting to re-soak it again. And I haven't, and I just decided to wear it today. So anyway, that's everything from this show. Really nice, fun, huh? Fun stuff. Great sales. Too much chatting on my part, but I got to get to work actually printing the shipping labels for this. I hope that you liked watching this part, but you're holding on because we're doing what sold everywhere else. So hang tight. Part 2. What did I sell throughout the rest of the week? Brace yourself to feel really bad for me because it's not great. Let's take a look. We're going to start off with Etsy as usual. So first up, I have this blouse. This is a rayon, like a 90s era, I would say. I had this in Whatnot shows for a while. It's really cute. $39 is what I had it listed at. That's what the buyer paid. I pay for shipping, so $4.33 for shipping, $4.33. So I made $34.67. This is what the blouse looks like if you care. You know, let's see, can we zoom in? Oh, I don't know how to use Etsy clearly, but anyway, there's that. And the tag is funny. It's got this little, I think it's one of those like Swedish style horses, but it looks like a little donkey to me. I can't remember what those horses are called. Dalek horses, something like that. But the favorite part for me is the back. Cold water, the best quality. I think they meant the best quality, but they clearly aren't. But it's still a really pretty blouse. I liked it. So anyway, that was the first item that I sold on Etsy. And then the second item, brace yourselves. Don't be too jealous. Okay. You too can achieve this dream one day. Why did I have it on this photo? This is the worst photo. I have all of these temporary tattoos that I got. They're from the 70s. And I have so many of them. So many. And of course, the ones that I have the most of are the ones that I like. My favorite ones are like this butterfly. This one says groovy. Hold on. Groovy. It's very cute. The mermaid is one of my favorites. The eye is cute, right? And the daisy's okay, but like the butterfly, the mermaid, and the groovy are my favorites. I have a ton of the owl, and I have a ton of the eyeball, a lot of the skull, a lot of Monster Man. Very few groovy. I do have a ton of daisies. Anyway, I have a lot of these things. So I have them all set up to purchase as different sized lots. I set these up so long ago, and I actually considered after this person purchased, and I remembered how much I have this set up for, because you can see a lot of 25 goes for $10, which includes shipping. and shipping has gone up significantly since the last time I updated this. So in this instance, the buyer bought a lot of 25 for $10 and shipping cost me $4.51. So I made $5.49 off of this. I mean, these are just like a fun thing to put up there. I think one other time I sold a larger lot, um, which is why I have all those lot size. I can't remember what I had this set up as before then, but I don't remember if I sold any other than that, but they're really fun. I included this one photo in here to show sort of how some of them, these are all from the 70s. So I kind of have in the item description, like, look, these are super fucking old, right? And I can't guarantee the efficacy. Like if somebody buys a lot of 25, I think I sent her like 28 or something. I send a few extras just in case anything's a dud. Generally speaking, I don't have issues with them when I use them. I have had some that lasted like several days, even with washing, but then others I was able to kind of rub off, later that day or something. And some of them flaked a little or didn't kind of come out right, I guess. So I think that's why I have this in here as an example. Um, anyway, but they're fun. So I sold that. So that was it, a blouse and $10, including shipping, temporary tattoos. So those were my Etsy sales for the week. What the fuck, Etsy? What's going on? eBay thankfully picked up a little bit of the slack for me, starting off with this blanket, which I listed somewhat recently. You can see that I had it listed for $249. That's not what it sold for, but really pretty. These are the Italian chenille wedding blankets, which I know I talked about pretty recently because I had this one that I sourced, but I've also sourced another one that I haven't posted yet. And the second one that I've sourced has some pillowcases and some weird, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a small rug or something. Anyway, I have to wash those. They stink like musty. For some reason, these blankets always smell very musty when I find them, but they're really cool and they sell well and fairly quickly. And this one sold for $186.75. I sent out a 25% off offer. The buyer paid shipping on this, so I made $186.75. I think I paid like $7 or $8 for this thing when I found it. So, yay! Next on eBay, this adorable little like 70s era t-shirt. I had it listed for $39. This is another one that sold because I sent out an offer. I sent a 25% off offer. Look at that cute tag. I love it. That brought it to $29.25. Buyer paid shipping, so I made $29.25. So cute. Next up on eBay is this little baby doll nightie set. This was really cute. I would have liked to have modeled this just to show how it fits, but there's like a little panty that goes with it, and the panties were like so freaking tiny. Like I could not, they weren't even going to come close to going on. I couldn't even really put them on the mannequin. Here I have them like pinned to the front of the mannequin. Anyway, so very cute. And I had this listed for $49. The buyer sent me an offer for $35 and buyer pays shipping, so they sold for $35. One of the things I realized today as I was putting all these pages together to show you, you see here how it's showing the $49 price and it's crossed out, but on these other ones it was showing $39 and that's not crossed out. So I realized that if I'm the one sending an offer, it just shows the price like this without the cross out. But if a buyer sent me an offer, then that's when the price shows up crossed out. So if you, as somebody just searching for comps or something, look this up, you're going to see this like crossed out version in eBay's sold items. So if you used eBay's TerraPeak research tool, it will show you the actual sold price. But if you're just looking in eBay solds, I think it just shows you this. So next up on eBay is another one where the buyer apparently made me an offer. So this is a vintage sheet. It's a flat sheet, full-size bed. I had this listed, as you can see, for $59. The buyer sent me an offer for $40, so I accepted it. Buyer pays shipping. I think that the way that I think of these, 45 would have been like kind of in my acceptable realm, but 40 is pretty close. And I've had this for a little while, not crazy long. It's got some flaws, as you can see, but it's a really awesome sheet, great colors. And I feel like some of these are getting more difficult to find. So I was happy about that. And then the last item that I sold on eBay was this blouse. This is a Carol little blouse. I had it listed for $39. I sent out an offer for 25% off. So it sold for $29.25. Buyer pays the shipping. This one is going to South Korea, which in and of itself is okay, but like I hate these orders that come through from like China, South Korea, etc., because eBay and Etsy does the same thing. They don't translate the address, so it comes through in all of these like, you know, Chinese character letters that I obviously can't read. And so then not only do I have to translate it so that I can make a label, but I also have to figure out the address format, because a lot of times it doesn't fit into the spaces provided and stuff like that. So, you know, they have like a district and a province and a region and all this stuff. And it just like, I always have to not only translate it, but then also Google the address format. And I'm not positive that the way that they format their address, the order in which they format it, is the same as how I have to enter. It's just it's a nightmare every time. I should just stop shipping to those places. But at this point, I do almost no international shipping because I've eliminated all of Europe because of the, not all, but I've eliminated all of the European Union countries because of that GSPR crazy rules that they have. So anyway, this sold to South Korea. Fingers crossed that it gets there and that I don't have a hard time with it like I did with the other one, although that worked out in my favor. I think I told you when I was talking about my whatnot solds, that the person in China who ordered something for me, they opened a case that they hadn't received the item. And then I responded, I said, it's showing as delivered. And then they never answered. And then like 3 weeks later, they opened up a case, escalated the case to eBay. eBay like immediately decided in the buyer's favor and said that I didn't provide proof of tracking or proof of delivery. And I was like, I provided the tracking. I don't know what else you want. And I disputed it. And eBay did reverse the decision. And so I was granted my appeal. So I got the money back on that. So I'm very grateful for that. I think that the buyer also kept their refund, if I'm not mistaken, but they didn't tell me that. I just assume that's how eBay handles it if they've already refunded the buyer. Anyway, so hopefully I will not experience that with this and everything will go smoothly, but you never know. And that's all the sales I had this week. Depop and Poshmark, nothing. I was taking advantage of Vendoo's marketplace sharing tool. So they were doing a beta test, and kind of rolled it out to people where you could share your Poshmark closet and refresh your Depop listings. You could also do like Mercari and Grailed or something. I don't sell there. And I was taking advantage of that mostly for Depop, because on Poshmark I can just do it through the app, even though it's so annoying to do through the app. I hate it. But that ended. So I think that gave my Depop sales a tiny boost, but I'm not sure it gave it enough of a boost that I want to actually subscribe to the service. I wasn't doing it super often. I was trying to make sure I did it at least once a day. But I'm sure people have it set up to just run constantly when they're paying for bots for that kind of stuff. So I feel like it gave me a little boost, but not tons. If I wanted to add it on to my existing plan, it would cost me $10 a month, and I don't feel like it's worth that for the number of Depop sales that I make. Or I could switch to a yearly plan with Vendoo. But what I don't like about Vendoo's yearly plans is, like right now, I think I have a plan. I do 125 items per month in my plan, which honest to God, I don't list 125 items a month, which is fucking criminal, but I currently don't. The yearly plans have an option for like 75 items a month, or I think 250 items a month. And honestly, the 75 items a month would be sufficient for me. I think I just am reluctant to let go of the 125 item plan because in my head, I'm like, you should be doing 125 items a month anyway, Laura. And it's like, okay, but you've been on Vendoo for like a year and a half, and I don't think I've ever done 125 items in a month. So maybe I should just go with the yearly plan, but I haven't. It's like $300 up front, and I'm poor. So so now I keep trucking along, paying $35 a month for the stuff that I have. We'll see. We'll think about it. Anyway, that's everything that I sold. So clearly I have to do some listings so that I make some more sales, because this is sad. But thankfully, Whatnot this week was rocking, and I'm so happy and grateful for that. And let's hope that this coming week gets a little bit better. Thanks so much for watching this. I hope you found it informative and or enjoyed it. And I will see you again soon. Bye.